welcome to ETBFSI.com. My name is Amol Dethe. In the special series today, I have with me Praveena Rai, the COO of NPCI. NPCI is the architect of digital payment and made India proud. Today, the world wants to replicate UPI model, which was handcrafted by NPCI. I'm glad to have you on the show, Praveena. Welcome on the show.
Hi, Amol. Glad to be here.
Great. So to begin with, we all are under lockdown and digital payments is increasing. In fact, everybody's supporting digital payments right now, and including RBI and the regulators and including the government is asking people, to go for a digital payment. I would like you to tell me and the viewers and the readers also, more importantly, what are the benefits or what are the importance specifically of the digital payments in the time of coronavirus?
Amol, it's a bit of a no-brainer in many ways. Here we are in the lockdown situation, and the big anthem is to stay safe, have social distancing, wear masks, potentially disposable or non-disposable gloves. So basically, staying away from people, not creating the opportunity to share anything that could transmit the virus is really the anthem, and that's really where digital payments comes and plays a very important role. So from day one. From when the virus situation has started playing out, our simple message has been to the entire public, to really start moving to digital payments. We have a number of digital payment users, of course. However, people are still more comfortable with cash. Merchants are still, probably looking at cash or whatever the consumer is coming to them with. The message is digital payments that you can just do using your phone, right? Because so what is digital payment?
Right.
Digital payment is one that you're able to do using your own phone without having to have any contact with any other form of device or a note or anything of that sort. And that's really been the message that we've been providing. Now, when you say digital payments, there is UPI. UPI is, of course, inherently a mobile-based transaction. And we've seen that UPI has been very popular amongst people who are trying to stay safe with digital payments. The RuPay and cards are also being used, but our observation is UPI as a digital payment mode seems to have become very popular.
Right. So obviously we are also quite aware about the UPI and in fact the journey of RuPay. But specifically in the current time when we all are under coronavirus lockdown and people are trying to innovate something specifically in the digital payment mode as well. I would like you to tell us, what are the initiatives that NPCI has taken to boost the digital payment specifically in this particular time? And in the specifically current time, are you making any changes specifically? Or, for example, an onboarding process for the fintechs or financial institutions, or anything on that line?
So, clearly to make digital payments more accessible to people, the first thing that we did was to ensure that our infrastructure works seamlessly. That's number one. So when we're talking about lockdown, when you're talking about staying safe, our concern for our employees from a work from home basis, the challenge for us was to still ensure that our infrastructure and systems are up and running, as they ought to be, and be ready to take whatever other kind of volume load that might be there in this environment. So that was the number one action that we took, Amol. That was very internal, of course, to what we had to do from our side. The second was to take the awareness message to the public. So we had a UPI Chalega campaign that was running.
Yes.
So we expanded that into a broader umbrella of India Stay Safe and India Pay Safe. And that really became very popular on Twitter and many other social media. And it was to create the awareness in a way that people were able to relate to. So we did a bit of action saying that if you have to pay digital, if you have to pay, then make the payment digital. Payment karna hai, digital karo. And, that became fairly popular. But it was basically a way to get the message across. Ultimately, to have people aware about safety of using digital payments, and then what kind of digital payment to use, right? And the fact that UPI is
right.
So second thing we did was around awareness. Now the third thing is really around saying for the critical services that are today open, it could be medical stores, supermarkets, groceries, basically the where people are still looking for their essential goods for their day-to-day living. So we really worked with the ecosystem, and created solutions, and number of players have launched these solutions, and these solutions enable simple payment through UPI without
Right.
any sort of a interface or needing to learn something new. So if the merchant is
Right.
able to send a quick link across, and the customer is able to just click the link, use their UPI pin and make a payment, that becomes extremely simple. We've had ecosystem players who've actually launched a sort of a map routine which tells you which are the stores in your area which are actually open. You click on the store, suppose it's
Right.
a vegetable mart, you're able to get your orders, and then you're also able to make your payment on UPI. So there's one work with the payment service providers, with the merchants, and then there is another piece of work on the consumer side. So these are some specific actions that we've been taking, and we are constantly in touch with the with everybody in the market. As requirements come up, and as we hear feedback in terms of any support that is required, we are there to jump in and solve that problem. Clearly, the fund collection and donation drive, on PM Cares, was launched on UPI. So that happened last weekend.
Right.
So, we've taken that message across, whether it's people, wanting to contribute something in the interest of the nation, how do they do it, ability to get their funds together, so that the
Right.
government is able to use the pool, effectively. So that's
Right.
another piece that happened. So whether it is, and month end, we also created a campaign around, just paying your staff, because people are not
Right.
accessible. Earlier, that person might have come. It could be your driver. It could be, staff in a small factory. They would have come and, perhaps taken their money in cash, or through the bank or through the branch. The same, the people are today, either they've gone back to their village or their town, or, they are there in the city, but they are also under lockdown. They are also afraid. They want to stay within their rooms and within their homes. So there again, we circulated the awareness around being able to make, quick salary payments, ensuring people are able to, disburse their payments through UPI and digital modes.
Right. Some I could see some interesting actions there, but in this particular, specifically in this 21 days, and I mean the lockdown time, is there any particular learning that NPCI had in last 1 week? Is there any change in the data that you have seen? Is there any different, what you can say, learning specifically on the receptive mode of digital payments that you have seen in current time from the people?
So clearly, people are not having the opportunity to spend on what you might call discretionary purchase. Earlier, you would have gone and bought a shirt, or gone to a restaurant,
Right.
and so on and so forth. So the kind of payment and transactions that we are seeing today is clearly of the essential nature. I need to make that payment, and hence, I'm going ahead and doing it. And there we have seen, while there has been a drop in the payments across all payment modes, the pure digital payments like UPI have fared better than the others, and
Okay.
followed by RuPay. So even people have taken on the advantage and the safety of using UPI, to treat that as their preferred mode wherever payments are being made.
Right. So, now going ahead, and this is my, last question. Obviously, UPI is one of the very, very important mode of payment. But is there any particular method of payment that the people are using in this particular time, whether QR code based or OTP, or just, particular wallet or something that you have seen? Is there any change in that side?
Great question, Amol. I mean, it's a very insightful question, because clearly people who make P2P payments, when they're trying to make an individual, the
Right.
UPI ID is quite popular. People know what a UPI ID is.
Right.
They to see it on any of their apps, and if I need to pay you, you tell me what your UPI ID is, and I'm able to make a payment to you. But
Right.
typically, merchant payments have been happening really on the QR code side.
Right.
So people go scan the QR code and then make a UPI payment. So that's really been a high growth area of UPI payments and digital payments in the last few months. Now,
Right.
no one is now going to the store, right? I mean, you want to avoid going to the store. So
Right.
clearly, the physical mode of shooting or scanning a QR and making the payment
Right.
is quickly getting replaced with the merchant's own awareness of what their UPI ID is. So earlier, a merchant would have known, hey, this is my QR code. It's there, on my counter in the store, but they may
Right.
not have been as aware of what their UPI ID is. But
Right.
that awareness is also something that we are working on, so that the merchant is able to say, hey, pay me on this UPI ID, or they are able to send a link and get paid through that link. So that
Right.
physical QR being available at the store for the payment is
Right.
getting replaced by some of the other nuances of UPI payments. That's our observation on the UPI side.
One more, and in fact, that's the last question that I have for you, Praveena, and a very, very important question. When we see the rise in the digital payments and specifically the internet transactions, the major question is the security and the risks involved. Now, when we all are working from home, specifically, when I'm sure your team and everybody is working from home, how difficult it is for you to, look at the security aspect, and how are you actually strengthening that aspect? Because at one side, everybody wants digital payments to go up for the safety in terms of the health and everything, but at the other side, nobody would like to compromise the security aspect as well. So how the NPCI is actually looking at that aspect?
So, we started the conversation, and I said the very first thing that we did was to ensure that our infrastructure was fully
Right.
enabled and in place. And so as when I say infrastructure, I think one of the first things that we did was also look at our own sort of risk framework to ensure that in these more vulnerable times, that we are strengthening our own, intelligence mechanism, our own, sort of security, tools and, procedures and so on, as well as also ensuring that people are made more aware about the safety aspects of using UPI. So, use UPI safely. So whenever we are talking of awareness, we emphasize on the safety aspect of UPI and how people can use UPI safely. And there is we have launched a whole set of videos on how to enable UPI. What's the sanctity of a UPI pin? How a UPI pin should be treated at par with the ATM pin. People have now learned that I should not share my ATM pin, because then it's linked to my bank account.
Right.
So the similar awareness of the fact that if you use a UPI pin, your account is going to get debited, and
Right.
share it under any circumstance with anybody, right? So that message is something we've
Hmm.
as we are showing the awareness and the benefits and the kind of uses that UPI can have, uh, a, a, a parallel message, a layered message along with that is the safety message. In fact, we've got a microsite called upichalega.com.
Right.
Gives in detail both how to use UPI, but interspersed in all those videos is really the safety elements of using UPI also. So both from our infrastructure standpoint as well as from the consumer awareness standpoint, and we have our own risk system. So I think when some of these vulnerabilities start happening, we have our mechanisms to control them as well. So we have our eyes strongly on all of these parameters now.
Great. That was an insightful learning for me. Thank you for sharing those comprehensive insights, Praveena. It was wonderful listening to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amol. Lovely talking to you.
Yeah. And thank you, my dear readers, for watching us. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay connected to etbfsi.com. Thank you.